It's a time of year when we get flooded with tax questions, and that's all right because it's Money Monday, and we like talking about these things. This afternoon, our financial expert, Paul Hood with Hood CPAs, joins us with his advice on how to file as quickly as possible and without too much trouble. Take some of the burden off of this time of year because it can be anxiety-filled.
Sure.
Let's start with Joe. Joe writes in this week wanting to know if it is better to itemize his tax return or to just take the standard deduction.
Well, Brian, on the surface, this sounds like a very simple question. Whichever is larger you take, standard deduction or itemized deduction. So you add up all your charities, your mortgage interest, your taxes, and take the larger of the two. That's actually not as simple of an answer at times because the state of Oklahoma has a lower standard deduction. So depending on what state you're in, sometimes it's actually better to elect to take less deductions on the federal, meaning if your itemized deductions don't add up to quite what the standard deduction is for federal, you're actually sometimes better off taking less on the federal because if you itemize on the federal, then you get that larger amount over on the state. So it's a calculation. Generally speaking, you take the larger of the two, but if you're real close, then a lot of times we look to elect.
All right, let's get to Shelly. Shelly says, my kids have show pigs for FFA that they're able to sell, of course, after they show them. The pigs have lots of expenses. She wants to know if they're able to claim those expenses on their taxes, even if they don't own a farm. And last time we had you, we learned you don't have to have much, really, to own a farm. A little bit of land and throw some animals on it, you got yourself a farm. What do you think for Shelly here?
Well, and a farm or a business, they're really, they're synonymous. There are certain tax consequences are different for a farm, but for the most part, what the IRS looks at is there a profit intent, and is there a reasonable expectation to make a profit. Generally speaking, if your kids have show pigs and that's it, and they take them to the show, it's generally not a business. Now, if they sell the pig or they're selling pigs outside of that or they're breeding, then yeah, you can, and you don't have to have a bunch of land to have a farm. So is there a reasonable expectation of profit? Then we can take the farm expenses.
All right, last question goes to Michael. This was interesting. I never even thought of this. Michael says he's retired, does a whole bunch of volunteer work with his church. He wants to know, can he write off things like mileage, fuel, supplies, and at-home office, even though he's not self-employed and he's just volunteering his time?
So unfortunately, the answer to that, most of it is no. You can keep track of your mileage and take a deduction for the charitable mileage, for which will take care of the car expenses, will take care of gas, so you can do that. But if you buy supplies and then use them, now if you buy something that's going to be like a light fixture, something that you're going to donate to the church, sure. But if I buy a hammer or something like that, that is not deductible. You can't deduct your time. You can't do home office because that's not a for-profit venture.
You can do the vehicle though. You can do your mileage.
You can do mileage as charity. So if you go around and you're handing out, Meals on Wheels, or you're going to the church, you can deduct miles for charities.
And gas? Did you say gas?
No, miles
gas.
Takes care of gas.
Just miles. Well,
yeah.
okay.
You're pushing it, Brian.
Well, it's expensive right now.
I'm
trying to get to the heart of it. All right. Well, if you have a financial question you'd like for us to chat about next Monday, just like these folks did, Shelly, Michael, as well as Joe, they all sent in questions throughout the week. You can do it too. Send your question by email to moneymonday@griffin.news. We're back right after this.